Hiya, Murray, and what up, swag lords? It's me, Kulbardi. I'm a visual artist living and working in regional Victoria, which is Wardong country. Yeah, that's my cat. Shush, man. And this will be my assistant. So this is the first video of a series I want to make. I don't know, I've been wanting to make something for ages where I want to start talking about the meaning behind a lot of my artworks and just creative things I see. Because more often than not, I've created this like vast interconnected backstory for a lot of my artworks or commissions, and then I never post it because I feel a little bit shame. A lot of the meaning is lost because I am absolutely too embarrassed to talk about it. My fellow artists, I swear to God, are y'all also like way too ashamed to actually talk about your art, even if you spent like 10 million hours making it? Think it's just that you feel at risk of like taking yourself too seriously? And to that I say, who cares? Actually, maybe somebody. So I don't know, I just thought maybe this would be fun for someone to see. At least one of ye fuck asses will enjoy this. So for my very first episode, I thought, let's start with the meaning behind my name. So my name is Kulbardi. My actual first name is Jay, so I will immediately copy that to the back of the video. I'm a bit of a Noongar kind of guy, and I'm also indigenous to Chile, which vast majority of them are Mapuche. Chumle mi am. You know what I'm saying? And Kulbardi is actually the Southwest Noongar way of saying magpie. So I know what you're thinking. Normally, whenever I say this, people assume the magpie is my totem, like my tribe's totem. It is not. My Moort totem is the bobtail lizard, or Yoorna. And then I think in general, I've heard that like Biberman people are kind of like associated with stingrays, since we're on the very edge of Australia, right over in WA, on the very coast. Stingrays is a thing. I was actually kind of apprehensive to use my totem name, Yoorna, just because what if I messed up? Like, if I messed up and I did like something inappropriate all of a sudden, and I used my totem name, I don't know, I don't want to represent my entire like people. Like imagine I like suddenly lose all my morals and I like do a collaboration with Shell or something, or Gina Reinhardt, my ethereal princess, or Pauline Hanson is like, I'm like, that's my auntie right there, Auntie Pauline. Like in my totem name, send me straight to hell. To be fair, it'd be awful to use like anyone's totem name. So someone's totem is Kulbardi. So it's probably not good to be doing anything morally iffy. So good thing I don't. But that was my stinker logic at the time. Plus, at the time, I wanted there to be like a degree of separation from my art and me as a person. So I don't know, Yoorna just seemed like way too personal to me at the time. Ironic, because like all my art is about me. None of those are Kulbardi, so what the devil am I on about? Why magpie? So I obviously wanted to incorporate some of the Noongar language into my name, and that covers like one half of my biology, one half of my like family, you know. What of the other side? What about the 50 Cent, my mummy? So she's indigenous to Chile, but we can't actually be 100% certain of like what group she's from. There is in fact a whole adoption backstory I should probably let you know about, but I think it's like 70% or something of indigenous people over there are Mapuche. It's like the biggest, and it takes up like part of Peru as well. And I guess, you know, at the time I'm still learning Spanish. Like I'm not a fluent speaker, but I was just learning Spanish then, let alone like Mapudungun, which is like the Mapuche language. So, you know, I don't like the chances, and I feel like that'd be a really long name. So at the time when I was having my brainstorming sesh, I was trying to think of like some of my favorite memories on my mum's side of the family, and I realized a lot of them included magpies. So Story number 1. I was a massive loser in high school and primary school. Still am. A lot of my life, I've been a massive loser. On account of my loserness, there were a couple year to multiple year stretches of like me sitting by myself and having no friends and, you know, just loser things. So, and there was like, I know in like year 7 or 8, so I would have been 13. When I was around 13, I guess like the year 7 like area of my school, there was a couple like these like little square garden beds or whatever, and there was like trees, and I would just sit there, sit on the garden beds by myself. Yeah, I was like, nobody likes me, I don't like me, what the freak. But you know who would keep me company? This mother freaking magpie. There was a magpie that had one leg. I dubbed him Gary. I don't even know how to tell different genders of birds, but that was Gary, my beloved. Shoutouts to Gaza. You know the whole thing about how like magpies remember your faces? So like if you're really sweet to a magpie, they remember you, and if you're awful to a magpie, all him and his homies are gonna friggin' swoop on your cranium. Slam dunk. I guess they remembered my face being so freaking sad and covered in tears all the time. What a legacy. I think Gary just felt bad for me or something. I don't know, but Gary wanted to hang out with me all the time. So there was like these like low kind of bendy trees like this, and he'd like hop up the tree. I don't know. Whenever I just saw Gary, it'd make me smile, and that was like one of the things that made me like pretty happy. Me and Gary we were chilling. We were besties. I loved Gary, and you know, over time, I was more like cheered up about it. Like I was a huge nerd, so I was thriving in science class, and then the bell rings, and everyone's like, "Yay, it's time to have lunch with my friends." And then I was like, "Oh man, time to go be a loner for a while and wait for more science." But then, you know, eventually a lot of time hanging out with Gary, I was like looking forward to lunchtime so I could go hang out with Gary. I don't know, it just like cheered me up. This is a sad story, but you know, I liked Gary, and he was there for ages. I was like, I don't know how long magpies live, but I think up till like year 10 or something, I'm like, is that Gary? I think I saw Gary, unless there was another magpie with only one leg. I think, you know, I attribute Gary as the inciting incident that made me happier again, and then, you know, eventually I actually did make friends and, you know, hung out with some people and everything, yada yada yada, and clearly now I am a social butterfly. Another memory is when I was a little child. I spent a lot of time with my abuelita, which is my mum's mum. My mum was a single parent and she had to work all the time, so and I think we moved to the same town that my grandparents lived in when I was like 3 or 4 or something. So, you know, I wasn't going to school. Now don't do this. This is not good advice. It's just a sweet memory for me. Okay. Every morning after breakfast, my abuelita would, you know, cut off, like, she'd have a little dish, those little tiny plates. What are they for? Biscuits at your grandma's house? I don't know what those tiny plates are for. Anyway, she'd get one of them, and she'd cut off like little bits of crust and like the bacon rind, you know, from eggs and bacon in the morning. And then it was my job, or like my sister's, to take it out to the front yard and present it upon the magpies that lived out there, and then they would sing for us, like, in return. Isn't that so sweet? I love magpies. You know, I just saw a podcast thing with some drag queens, and they said that, you know, most of the time when you hear the magpies warbling, that they're actually just practicing. I'm like, that is adorable. I freaking love magpies. They're such like little characters. I don't know, I really like magpies. It was like they were like my grandparents' like family friends. You know when your grandma or your mum or whatever is always like, you know Lois, or like, you know Monica. You're like, I don't know who Monica is, these are your friends. I don't know these people. But they're like, you know those magpies? I'm like, yes, I do know them actually. I've heard a thing or two about those magpies, I believe. I don't know how the agreement came to be, but that was the exchange. And, you know, now whenever I see him, I gotta tip my fedora and say, oh, Waddly Loo, you know, whatever they're saying to me. And and then they probably would, you know, gouge my eyes out, pelt me with rocks because that was an offensive mockery of their culture. You mustn't feed them bacon rind. That's awful. You know, even though they like it, clearly they're licking their beaks. That shit not good for them. I actually googled it because I'm like, if you want to feed them, what should you feed them? And they said like human grade meat, but you have to put like these supplements for insect eaters. Like I guess there's like powder like bug supplements. But bug supplement them, okay? Yeah, okay. Even then, you don't really want them to like depend on you and become like fat little greasy birds with a receding feather line. So I wouldn't feed them too much so that they depend on you for food. But I don't know, if you want to become best with a magpie, cuff them up. In a twist, I'm actually not that big a fan of birds. I don't like their creepy little eyes, the way they look at me. It's like a camera lens, freaks me out. But magpies don't count. They are friends, not birds. Magpies are friends, not birds. Lastly, there is a Noongar dreaming story about a couple of the birds. I won't tell you everything because I don't know who's watching this. Might be Wadjella. It might be people who shouldn't know these things. And I don't know if it's Boordawan specifically or if it's just like Noongar general story or whatever, but it includes the Mr. Magpie, Mr. Kulbardi. It also includes like Wardong and Waalitj and like older birds. Anyway, Kulbardi's moment in the story is when they're trying to bring back the sun, Ngarngk. It's Kulbardi's job to sing to her, and she'll come back every day, and that's how the sunrise comes, and that's why every morning all the Kulbardis are singing. Isn't that sweet? And lastly, I chose the name J because my dead name started with the letter J. Yes, smart one. So yeah, thanks so much for watching if you're watching all the way. I know I'm a huge mumbler and I'm incoherent at times, and I also have a major lisp. I'm so sorry to your ears. Hopefully this is interesting or fun to listen to. I want to tell you the stories behind like all my artworks and stuff. So I don't know if you've seen any that you're like devilishly curious and intrigued to know more about, but just let me know in the comments. You know, I'm taking suggestions. I don't know what anyone's into, or if you want, you can just whisper sweet nothings to me in the comment section. Just an encouragement so I actually make more of these. So yes, Boordawan, Puka Yao, and friggin' deuces.